Starting with some bad poll numbers for Democrats. According to pollster Scott Rasmussen, 48% of likely voters would vote for a Republican candidate for Congress this November, and that compares to just 36% who say they prefer the Democrat. President Obama is not taking those numbers lying down. Based on his speech in Milwaukee today, he's fed up with the GOP.
When it comes to just about everything we've done to strengthen our middle class, to rebuild our economy, almost every Republican in Congress says no. Even on things we usually agree on, they say no. If I said the sky was blue, they say no. If I said fish live in the sea, they'd say no. They talk about me like a dog. That's not in my prepared remarks, but it's true.
But even the left is frustrated with the president. Here's what New York Times columnist Paul Krugman said yesterday.
Obama has had no vision. He has not articulated a philosophy. What is Obama's philosophy of government? He wobbles between sounding kind of like a liberal, then he says, well, the conservatives have some points too. He concedes the message. There's never been anything like what Reagan did, which is to say, we've been on the wrong track. We're going to follow a very different track. That's going to change things. You need to, support us in this.
All right, joining us now to talk about the president's speech today from New York, Andrea Tantaros, a conservative political commentator and a FoxNews.com contributor, and right here in Washington on the set with me, Mark Levine, a liberal talk radio show host. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
All right, Mark, I'm going to start with you because you're in-house. You think that, as opposed to what Paul Krugman said yesterday, the president got it right today. You seem to be a big fan of this speech.
I love the speech. In fact, I wish Paul Krugman had seen this speech. What he said was yesterday, this was a great speech. This is the best speech I've seen from President Obama in more than a year. He gave it to the Republicans. He let America know what they're all about. They are the party of no, you can't. They have filibustered everything. There have been more filibusters in this Congress than every Congress in American history put together. And the Republican war on Obama has finally been called. The president's saying, you know what? I'm tired of bending over, trying to compromise with you folks, and you don't want to do anything. I love the speech.
Andrea, I'm guessing you weren't quite so happy about the speech or quite as big a fan.
Well, look, I think the presidency is a tough job, and he's so worried about what Republicans are criticizing him for. Look, Republicans on the economy are clearly doing something right, Shannon. Look at the polls that you quoted. They're 12 points ahead on the generic ballot. So, Mark, I think that saying no, no, no actually works because the majority of the American people agree with that. They don't like what Obama's doing, and even though Republicans may treat him like a dog, I don't know how he treats Bo, the White House Labradoodle, but most Americans treat their dogs pretty well. So I think he wishes everyone treated him like a dog, but at least dogs have the good sense to bury their bone and save it for a rainy day rather than blow $50 billion on a stimulus, which was actually the point of his speech today. If $787 billion didn't work of deficit spending, $50 billion isn't going to work either.
For the record, Bo does get to ride on Air Force One. He has it pretty good.
Andrea has a point. You're right. Dogs are treated far, far better than conservatives treat Obama. I mean, I don't call my dog Hitler. I don't say that my dog is Kenyan. I don't call my dog socialist, and I don't call him a Muslim. I mean, really, Andrea's right. The Republicans treat their dogs far, far better than they treat Barack Obama.
Well, let me ask you, because she makes a good point, that a lot of Americans, the polling shows us that they are tired of Congress spending money. What the president served up today was at least $50 billion in additional spending. Is there an appetite on Capitol Hill, just over your shoulder there tonight in the Washington moonlight? Is there going to be an appetite there for Congress to get something done?
Whether there is or not, there should be. Look, we've had, like I said, the Republicans have said no to everything. And what Andrea never mentions, and I'd like to hear it from you, Andrea, is what the Republican plans are. I actually read what John Boehner's plans are, the man the Republicans want to make Speaker of the House. What are they? They're warmed over Bush proposals. Privatizing Social Security, more bailouts for millionaires, and my personal favorite, ending the mortgage interest deduction, which I think every middle-class person wants. The Republicans said no to small business tax cuts, no to middle-class tax cuts. I thought thought Republicans liked tax cuts, but they voted against every single Obama tax cut. When the American people learn what the Republicans really stand for, I think the Democrats have a much better chance in November, which is why Andrea won't talk about what they stand for. She'll just say no, no, no.
All right, well, let's give her a chance because, Andrea, this is the criticism I know you hear it day after day after day, that Republicans are just going after Democrats, but they don't have proposals of their own, do they?
Well, you've seen Republicans during the health care debate. You heard Paul Ryan. He put out a very comprehensive alternative plan. Republicans have called for the extension of the Bush tax cuts, which would really profoundly help private sector job growth more than the Democrats' plans. Republicans have said time and time again, cut spending. This is the biggest issue for independents, which is why you see the big gap in the polling and why Democrats are really losing a lot of the independent vote. Democrats just aren't listening. So Republicans are putting their proposals out there. Democrats are actually saying no. And they're not just saying no to the Republicans. They're saying no to the American people that don't like the stimulus, the health care bill. And I would point out this $50 billion stimulus today. Again, it's really not a stimulus. It's actually just buying off special interest groups right before an election, or worse, looting the cookie jar, the American cookie jar, with taxpayer money before a huge Democratic loss to pay off his buddies in the unions.
All right, let's talk about that because the word stimulus keeps coming up. Now, Mark, the White House says we're not proposing another stimulus, but when you talk about $50 billion here, you know, several hundred million there, are we just talking semantics?
Well, this is where Paul Krugman was right. We need a much bigger stimulus. We needed a much bigger stimulus last year. The Republicans stopped that. It's fascinating to me. Here, the big thing, the only difference between Republicans and Democrats is how much money to give millionaires, right? Obama wants a middle-class tax cut. He wants to give 98% of Americans, extend the Bush tax cuts. Republicans say we will not allow middle-class people a tax cut unless every millionaire gets $100,000 more a year. Now, that vastly increases the deficit. But Republicans say we're fine with massive deficits as long as we give every millionaire $100,000 a year. That's from the Joint Committee on Taxation, a nonpartisan group in Congress. So that's the only difference. Now, Democrats say, look, we agree on middle-class tax cuts. Republicans, just let the middle class get a tax cut, and then we can argue about whether to give all the millionaires all that money. Republicans say, no, we will not allow any American to get a tax cut unless we bail out the millionaires. That's what the debate is over, and I think Obama's ready to have that fight, and he should in November.
All right, Andrea, as our resident multimillionaire, I'll give you the last word here.
Oh, I wish, Shannon. I wish I wouldn't be sitting here right now. Look, come on, Mark. That's not the only difference between Democrats and Republicans. And still, I mean, Krugman was right about one thing. He was right about the fact that Obama has no vision. He has no agenda. After health care reform, after financial regulatory reform, he's really failed to articulate what he's actually doing. He's the ADD president. He's all over the place. People say stop spending and focus on the economy, and he just hasn't done that. So, again, Republicans are so far ahead in the polls because they've said no to Democratic policies. I say they should keep doing it.
All right, Andrea and Mark, a very spirited debate. You guys are great together.
Well, thank you. We'll do it again.
Nice sparring. We'll have you back again. Thanks to you both.
Thanks,
Now,
guys.
coming up, do Americans think the Obama